I'll give them to you one at a time.
Sure.
How surprised were you that on the 3rd and 7 play that they did not give Manning a chance in the middle of the field to end the game with a pass?
Well, before the play happened, everybody went, Bill, what do you do? I go, without question, you run this football. And I said, no second guessing, nothing. Run it because it's all about the time of the clock. And you do it, you punt it down there, and then you tell the Ravens to go the length of the field to score a touchdown. So that play I had no problem with. And actually, I had a lot of people text me that follow the league and are in the league. And every one of them said the same thing. As it was just before it happened, you run the football, you play the clock, and you do it that way. Of course, it didn't work. Now it's time to second guess.
No second guess. I thought about it at the time because you can end the game. Anytime you can end the game, I like to end the game. So, and plus, if you catch a pass inbounds, you get the same thing. You're only worried about an interception, but you're not on your own 10 or 20-yard line. You're in the middle of the field, and you do have Peyton Manning, and he's going to get single coverage on the outside because they got to play the line of scrimmage in the run. That's not a crazy pass play there. I mean, it can be a very safe pass play there.
Well, yeah, of course it can. I'm just, again.
So you would have run it for sure.
There's still things that are going to happen. There's the game on the line. There's going to be a blitz. I saw 2 blitzes by the Ravens in that game that went absolutely clean to the quarterback. So that would worry me, but I would not even hesitate.
Okay.
I was doing it on TV. That I would say it exactly like that. You punt that football. You play the numbers. That's John Fox. He played it by the book. And
okay.
I agree.
Let me get to the second one. What would you say about their coverage? Okay, they've been beat deep before the half when Fox tried that ridiculous field goal, which made no sense. I talked to you about these long field goals these guys try. Why do they do this in the playoffs? Try these ridiculous field goals, give up field position. It cost them 7 points before the half. Now he's a good deep thrower. He's got the ability to throw it real deep. That's his strength. That's what his wide receivers do. Why? What? I mean, I know I could blame it on the secondary, but they were all it seemed playing so close to the line of scrimmage. Why was there not a deep, safety 30, 40 yards down the field?
They had the perfect coverage on. Absolutely perfect. If you said, okay, here's the routes they're going to run, what are we going to play on the defensive side? They had it perfectly. The safety, Raheem Moore, who got caught flat-footed, there's a couple things, but he really is responsible for the third of the field. It wasn't I know everybody said, oh, there was 2 safeties deep and all. No, it really was 3 people back there. It's the safest coverage you can have in the National Football League. And here's what happened. He played. He looked. When Joe Flacco moved, I could see it even on TV, that he went flat-footed and thought, oh, he's going to move up and throw it. I'm going to come. And when he became flat-footed, now he's not able to turn and run like you want him to. And Joe Flacco, there was a little bit of a wind behind his back, the direction they were going in. And just like last week, Mike, he threw it far and he threw it extremely high. And Raheem Moore could not judge the ball. I think it was the height and the length of how far he threw it, but also that little breeze that I think really carried the football.
Right, and then why does Tony Carter stop? Why is he watching? Why is he watching him? He should have chased him to the ball. He stopped and looked at him.
You mean once he went by?
Well, when the ball's in the air, you see more. But then Carter, who was playing at the corner, he doesn't even follow through the play. He stops and watches the flight of the ball in the air.
Yeah, well, they were going to try to make a play on the football, and for the 100th time on this thing.
After he catches the ball, you got to tackle him. No one's even near him.
How often do you see those type of throws in the NFL, and you don't see them often at all? That's why these defensive backs and safeties are terrible at covering them, Mike. And here's another thing. I'll never forget this one. It was when, Dante Culpepper was the quarterback in Minnesota throwing those long passes to Randy Moss. The Denver Broncos were going to Minnesota to play him. Mike Shanahan during the week had his backup quarterback just scramble around and see how far and high he could throw the football, and during the week to get his guys ready for it. And I said, so Mike, what were those numbers at the end of the week? He goes, it was unbelievable. He hit 6 of 10. The other 2, we probably had pass interference, and finally we knocked 2 of them down. And I go, I know. I said, I know. That tells you why that throwing the football
you're stunned. The game's tied. It is 35 up. You are
You
now.
already answered your own question.
You have been hitting the solar plexus, right? You have Peyton Manning and 2 timeouts and 31 seconds, and you take a knee?
You answered it.
I'm sorry, I disagree with this one, Phil. I'll fight you on this for the rest of your life. Come on.
You are stunned.
The defense was stunned. Peyton Manning wasn't stunned.
Your emotions are gone. You are stunned. The other team is excited, and you know that was.
You don't want to throw a ball with Peyton Manning?
Well, I'll just say this: how many big throws did you see down the field yesterday?
He didn't throw any.
How many did you see where you went, wow, he stuck that one between the coverage?
He did not throw a deep ball all day, which made me think that the cold affected him because he didn't throw the ball deep at all day. He didn't throw the ball more than 20 yards in the air all day.
Mike, they really don't throw the ball deep all year long. I think they're the only team in the league that didn't throw a ball close to over 50 yards in the air the whole season.
But I mean, I didn't even see any 25-yard throws yesterday. But with 30 seconds left and 2 timeouts and Peyton Manning, you're not going to take a shot?
Well, I wouldn't have taken a shot. I might have sit there and said, okay, let's spread it out and run the draw. Or maybe spread it out and throw a screen. And throw a screen. That would have been my only 2 options. I would have not. Now, they're going into a little breeze there, too. And I could tell that breeze was a little more maybe than a TV show, just by certain things, certain throws I saw in the game. And, of course, I saw it in the kicking game, too, where the one direction, they were not driving it deep in the end zone. The other direction, they were kicking them through the goalpost. So, yeah, that's debatable. I would say at most, if I was calling the plays and doing that right there, I would have probably spread out and run a draw, see if we can get 15 yards or whatever, and then maybe try to force a football or 2 down the field. But, you know, again, I think that's debatable. People can argue about that one. But in the grand scheme, it means nothing to me. There were too many other plays that were the difference in this game. Of course, the wrong one. And the thing that keeps getting missed. Did anybody watch the Ravens? Did we see the throws and the catches? It wasn't about, we're going to trick you, we're going to do this. It was just physical play. The Ravens, Joe Flacco, and those receivers, they caught more passes where they were not open yesterday than just about any game I've seen.
Listen, they made 5 plays yesterday that won that game. They made, and let's be honest, in the last 2 weeks, they have made about 8 or 9 huge, big pass plays.
People don't pay attention. That's what they've done all year long. But, you know, that doesn't matter because the numbers are not pretty enough or whatever. And it just goes wasted. But they hit home runs, Mike. It's just plain and simple. They hit home runs. And last week, and it's hindsight is great, I swear, I was just getting ready to say, when you watch the Ravens, they're good for at least 3 really big pass plays every game. And there he goes. He winds up and he throws that long one down the sideline over the shoulder of Anquan Bolden, who, of course, is not a speedy wide receiver.
Man, has great hands.
But he got himself in position, and Flacco dropped it right out of the sky to him where he made the catch. So that's who the Ravens are. That's what you have to worry about. A couple of those throws and catches yesterday, even some of the 3rd and 8s where he threw it out cuts. I've turned to people, and we were having a meeting, and I go, nobody can appreciate that throw. How good it was in those circumstances, in cold weather, with tight coverage, knowing if you're a little bit off, it's probably an interception for a touchdown, but he was on target, and to me that was one of the huge stories of the game.
Phil has been a big supporter of Flacco's, and Flacco has made
I'm not supporting. It's about what I see.
Well, you've been a fan of Flacco, and listen, I think Flacco's been and I've said this for years, I think Flacco's been unfairly criticized, and listen, he's won a lot of playoff games, and he gets a chance to win the big one again next week.
You know what? We were sitting there watching the game, Mike. Steve Tasker is going to be our sideline guy today. And just, you know, without any whatever, he just announces to the whole room. I've never seen a really good quarterback be more scrutinized and criticized than Joe Flacco. We all started laughing.
I think it's true. I think it's true, and he throws a great deep ball, and he's thrown a lot of them the last 2 weeks.
Right. He had a little slump this year. Where they
he did. Yeah, and their offensive line fell apart, and they rebuilt it here, and that's the big thing in this game yesterday, too. Von Miller did not get a sniff all day against that rebuilt offensive line. I thought he would, and he did not.
We did not get to hear the game as much as I would have liked, but the thing that I said going out there, you have Michael Orr playing his 2nd game at right tackle.
Yep.
We saw
they couldn't get a sniff on him.
Bryant McKinney, the other side, you know what we saw? We saw 2 giants, and they are big men. Bryant McKinney
shut down 2 great pass rushers yesterday, and Von Miller was invisible yesterday.
How about that? That just shows you, like we laugh about it, size is a talent. If you give enough athletic ability to somebody that's just that size, they can dwarf or just take people out of the games. Von Miller and Elvis Dumerville, no question, they're very good at what they do, but they are undersized defensive ends rushing the passer.
And they got beat up yesterday. Now, before we come back and talk about today's games, which we will with Phil in the next segment, let's spend a minute on what we saw last night.
Thank you,
question is,
Phil Simms.
The space age version of
Totally the opposite of what Mike Francesca had to say earlier. I wish I had taped it. Very interesting as far as the analysis.